I feel like my strength and my weakness is I'm addicted to getting stuff done.
In our world, right, there needs to be abundance, and
Yes.
we need to look at things from an abundant perspective,
Yes,
right?
half full.
Right, absolutely. It's got to be at least half full,
Yes.
right? And that's how we're going to get stuff done,
Yeah.
right? So, but if we look at it as we're always reaching to something more and we're always in a deficit, that's not good.
Make your mistakes being aggressive.
Right.
You're never a victim. Like I got this quote, like my cheer at that moment would be like, stay offensive.
Nice.
Because the minute you're defensive, you're stiff. We all rise and fall together, right?
Right,
So like the more
absolutely.
that we truly are all kind of working together, I think it's positive for us.
Welcome. Our third episode of The Intersection. This is RJ McMahon with Oak Leyden. I have the honor and privilege of serving as CEO. And I am so excited to welcome our guest, Kandace Lenti from Wintrust. Welcome, Kandace.
Thank you. I'm excited.
This is really fun. So Kandace and I have known each other for
a long time.
Let's just leave it at that. Let's leave it at that.
Decades.
Exactly. And you know, when paths cross and then they come back and then you separate and you come back, and I'm just so excited that our paths we're back together again.
And I feel like we even might have been like one step removed even before we knew each other.
Exactly.
So I feel like there's a long history.
Right, exactly. So, so today just really want to chat with you about kind of your journey, how you see this intersection of business and philanthropy and civic and one thing that I really want to get to is, and we won't jump right into it, but it feels like you have more than 24 hours in your day because you do so much, both work-wise in the philanthropy world and family and everything. It feels like you have more than 24 hours and 168 hours in a week. Is that true?
No. But I feel like my strength and my weakness is I'm addicted to getting stuff done.
You get it done.
So again, there's probably a weakness there too, but it's been I've enjoyed what I do. I'm
There you
lucky.
go. And we're not talking about any weaknesses today. So it's all strength-based, right? It's abundance. We're here for the abundance. We're not here to pick on anything. So
I like that word, abundance.
Abundance. Well,
Great word.
I mean, in our world, right, there needs to be abundance. And we need to
Yes.
look at things from an abundant perspective,
Yes,
right?
half full.
Right, absolutely. It's got to be at least half full,
Yes.
right? And that's how we're going to get stuff done,
Yeah.
right? So, but if we look at it as we're always reaching to something more and we're always in a deficit, that's not good.
I'll be honest to say I am so attracted to the word abundance, and I do not like the word. So I'll tell a quick story.
Yeah, I love it.
I coached my daughters when they were growing up, and I loved it. I loved coaching not just them, but I loved coaching girls.
Right.
Because I was
what
always
sports? Because you coach multiple
basketball
sports,
and
right?
softball and swimming. They were my sports. So
There you
like, but I always tried to teach the girls. I mean, again, it was girls that I was coaching, but like make your mistakes being aggressive.
Right.
You're never a victim because as an example, when you're playing softball, like if the umpire is calling the outside pitch a strike,
Right.
you have control. Like you can still conquer that moment.
Wait.
And
You have control? You can adjust?
well, you can adjust. Exactly. And the whole, like if someone's always preaching like, they're calling the outside pitch a strike. Well, that's the worst mentality that you can
Right.
teach anyone.
So good.
That you don't have that control. Like you always can fight. You can always figure out how to make an adjustment.
Right.
And it might even end up being a strength for you at some point. So, no, coaching was a great
Oh my gosh.
experience for me because I learned how to like just evaluate things like that.
Totally. What was your demeanor on the sideline?
Probably no different than I am in real life. You knew I was there.
Right.
Again, strength and a weakness.
Absolutely.
But I love to be a cheerleader. I
Yep.
was like the loudest coach out there. And I love to be, generally speaking, I love to give a compliment. But I don't like to give a compliment for free.
Oh, I
So
like that.
I would try very hard to find any way to compliment like the girls on my team
right.
and just really kind of motivate them to be, like I said, aggressive, assertive, like
Right.
make your mistakes, but make them being aggressive because,
Right.
again, if you're another story, And this is just, there's great
Yeah. Oh my gosh.
analogies
I
in
love
sports.
it. Absolutely.
But I coached a group of girls from 5th through 8th grade
Okay.
in basketball at St. Viator Grade School. We had a phenomenal experience because we got our butts kicked in like 5th grade.
Right. Right.
And we worked extremely hard as a group. And we ended up vying for like the championship in 7th and 8th grade.
So great.
But like we really were teaching these girls how to play. So
Right.
like we got to the point where we were teaching them how to run a delay offense.
How about that?
And I think it's such a fascinating experience because if you are on your heels
right.
and you're defensive, you make so many mistakes.
Oh my gosh. All the
And
time.
so it's like, how do you teach people even to be like a strategic,
right.
but and somewhat defensive, but in an offensive way.
Right.
And even when I would coach the girls in softball, when someone had a 3-0 count,
Right.
and you had to throw a strike to
Right.
stay in there, I would I got this quote, or not quote, like my cheer at that moment would be like, stay offensive.
Nice.
Because the minute you're defensive, you're stiff.
Right. Right.
And so I think that is a life kind of
Absolutely.
message.
Right. Right.
I know that you're enjoying the podcast, but give me just a moment to share with you what we've been doing at Oak Leyden when we haven't been in front of the cameras. I'm Jim from the development department here at Oak Leyden. This is my colleague, Gene O'Brien, also from the development department. And we had a great week, and we wanted to share a few details about what's been going on here. On Tuesday night, we had the opportunity to welcome the Oak Park River Forest Chamber of Commerce to come and have their Business After Hours event at our facility here on Chicago Avenue in Oak Park. And it was a great chance for 40 different business leaders in our area to learn about our mission, learn about what we're doing, and hopefully raise their hand and say, I want to learn more. And we've already had a couple of phone calls from those folks with ideas, suggestions, ways that they can partner with us. So we're really excited about that.
Yeah, it was awesome.
Yeah.
Fit in well with the theme of philanthropy
Absolutely.
and businesses collaborating.
Yeah.
So we had that on Tuesday. On Thursday night, Michael Weber hosted our first peer-to-peer dinner party. So she opened up her home to all of her friends and us at Oak Leyden, and RJ was able to educate and let a lot of people know about what Oak Leyden's really about, which there
Lot
were
of
a
great
lot
energy.
of questions at the end. So,
Yeah.
I mean, we were able to convey a lot of information that people didn't know. We've got a parent advocate group helping parents through schools who have kids with IEPs, and these parents loved that
There were
idea. just
several
the
folks in that
support of
crowd that have kids that need those kinds of services
Yeah,
that we
but-
didn't know
But
about.
Michael's a board member. It was so awesome of her to open her home, and we hope to do a bunch more of these. It's a
Right.
way to get the community
Yep.
involved with us,
So-
and so many great ideas about how these parents
that was
and their kids
Thursday.
can get involved.
And that was Thursday, so we go Tuesday. Thursday.
Friday night.
Friday night, we go out to Melrose Park to take part in Boo Fest, which is the annual Halloween carnival that Leyden Township manages. Leyden Township, one of our most important partners, they partner with us to make sure that the individuals throughout all of those different municipalities out there, Franklin Park, Melrose Park, I think Norridge is part of it too, right? So like we have a whole bunch of our folks that live in those communities. And this was an event for those families. It was so great to be out there just to meet the families in the areas where we provide services. And
It was so
pass
cool
out a lot of candy.
Yeah, tons of candy, and it was so cool to give back for a night.
Yeah.
And it was a trunk or treat where 400 kiddos. We got
At least 400.
candy and toys, and it
So
was
that's
really cool
3
event.
events in 4 days.
Then we got
and
a bunch of stuff coming up.
indeed. Why don't you tell them about what we got coming up?
Oh, well, we've got the Mighty Oak. I
Yes.
mean, we're constantly working on little tidbits here and there, not till April. But
Yeah. But it's a different. We've been doing this annual event for several years. This year's different. It's going to kick off our 70th anniversary celebration. We're going to tell you more about it. We just want to make sure that you keep your eyes peeled for that. It'll be in the second half of April. It's going to be close by to where we are, and we really believe it's going to be worth your while. We want you there. We want to tell you more about it, but we're just not ready to
That's right.
pop
I'm
that
sure
open
they're
quite yet.
on the edge of their seats about
Yes.
it, but more to come.
Yes.
Anyways,
Speaking
let's
of more to come.
Yes, let's let these guys get back to this amazing episode of The Intersection. We've got RJ and Kandace. Kandace is telling us about Wintrust. I mean, it's amazing how this place got started by the idea of giving back.
Yeah.
It's
part of their DNA.
They are mixing with philanthropy from the beginning. They figured it out first, maybe. And all these ideas are coming off of it with everyone else. Yeah. Listen to these stories. Awesome stories coming up.
My son, when he was playing Little League, he asked me one time after a game, Dad, don't the parents know that I'm trying to throw strikes?
Oh,
That was the chant.
Yeah.
Pat, just throw strikes. Yeah, what do you think I'm trying to do here?
Exactly,
Right?
exactly.
So yes, that's a better message to
Yeah.
have. Stay aggressive, right?
Yeah.
Stay on it, right?
Yeah.
So I got to follow up on your hoop coaching, right?
Mm-hmm.
So in 5th and 6th grade at St. Viator, did they have equal play? Was that part of the program, or?
You know what? We tried to play everyone for. It wasn't equal play. It wasn't
Okay.
like
Everybody
strategic
had
that way.
Okay.
And I will say, I remember. I'm so corny, but I was like, oh my God, I don't want to sit here. Well, first of all, most of the other teams played in 3rd and 4th grade, and we started in 5th. So that's part of why we were getting our butts kicked.
Right.
So I came up with like a whole plan of like, we're going to sign up for like summer stuff. We're going to do some, all this kind of extra work. But I remember we actually raised money
Nice.
to pay for some of the leagues we played in that were outside of
Fun.
St. Viator. And I remember sending a letter to those sponsors.
Right.
And I was so reflective in that letter, and I was like, oh
love
my
it.
God.
Right.
I felt so good about like the experience for the girls.
Right.
Though. Like they
That's
learned
so
how
great.
to work hard.
Right.
So,
Absolutely.
yeah.
Absolutely. That's awesome.
Yeah.
Well done. So where did the coaching bug come from for you?
Well, I played sports.
There you
So, and being a young parent.
Yep.
And, I was kind of like, okay, it's hard to leave your kids.
Yeah.
But like I kind of remember when I was like, what's the 5 and the 2? Like that's a bad ratio.
Right.
So really, even in my career, I was 3 days a week for some part of it. As soon as my youngest daughter went to preschool, I went from 6 in the morning till 2 in the afternoon.
Nice.
And then I would pick up my kids, and then we would sit at the kitchen table. They would do homework. I would do my stuff.
Right.
And really, I actually inherited a manager. He didn't even know I was like had a modified schedule because I was getting
Because you were
stuff
getting
done.
stuff done.
And I think I set a great example for my kids too, to like just get your stuff done.
Right.
So anyways, like I actually was on a board for a very quick moment when my kids were like in grade school,
Okay.
like little grade school,
Right, right.
primary. And I said to myself, like, what am I doing? Like, I'm like going to work all day and then I'm going to give more of my time. It didn't feel good in my heart. So I said to myself, like, I am going to do all my volunteering with my kids.
What a
So I
great
was
call.
the brownie leader. I mean, every single thing that my kids did, I pretty much tried to help out in
Right,
some way.
right.
Because I was like, I'm not going to run home to pick them up and then drop them
And then
off
drop
with
them.
another
Right,
adult.
Right. Exactly.
So honestly, it was great.
That's so
I mean,
good.
I really knew all of my kids' friends,
Which is such a bonus.
and
right.
they like I was the what?
Cool, Mom.
No, what is the name of the I'm just drawing a complete blank. But when you're in 8th grade at the Catholic Church, you do the what's the event you do?
Oh, confirmation.
Confirmation. I was
Right.
like the confirmation sponsor for some of the girls, and
Nice job.
yes,
That's
no,
awesome.
it was phenomenal, and I do really feel like I was a good mentor
Right,
for some of those
absolutely,
kids,
absolutely.
and still have such a good relationship with
which
them.
is pretty fun,
Yes,
right?
so fun.
Yeah, so great when
Yeah.
when you see the adults that you coach,
Yeah.
right? And they're like, "Hey, coach," I'm like, "That's so
I
great."
always
I
said-
love being the coach.
I always said I would know who was going to be successful in the real world and
That's-
why. And they
Have
were
you
all
tracked it?
going to, oh, yeah. No, I knew who was going to be showing up
So
on
great.
time,
Right,
all
right.
that good stuff in 8th grade.
Right.
Yeah. So, and I always say when we went to
Right,
the
right.
championship game in 8th
Absolutely.
grade.
Absolutely.
So, yeah, no, it was fun.
That's so great.
The
That's
best of
So
times.
great. Right. Exactly.
Yes.
Exactly. So how have I think it's great when parents coach, right? I think there's also challenges when parents coach, right?
Yeah.
And so like if your daughters were sitting here, how do they look back on their time with you coaching, right? Because sometimes they're like, oh, mom, calm down. You're still my mom, right?
Yeah.
So
You know what? Honestly, I think I have the best relationship with my daughters
Nice.
because of that
Yeah.
coaching. I tried to probably be harder on them than anyone else
generally
because
the
you
case.
can't be neutral.
right.
There's no way. Different kids have different responses to
course.
it. But I do feel like they appreciate like the journey as well. Like
That's
they
great.
appreciate that I have a relationship with all their friends, that I have memories with them. And I think my daughters know like that I'm a hard worker and that I expect them to be
And the expectations.
on time.
That's good, right?
Honestly, and my husband coaches
Yes.
too.
Yep.
I think
Not
those
just grade school.
Yeah,
Also,
college sports. But I think having coaches like around us was really great for my kids.
Right.
I feel like my kids are contributors. And I'm not going to say they're perfect or anything like
no.
that, but they do contribute to the communities
Isn't
that
that
they're
great?
involved in.
That's
And
really great.
I think that does come back to like some of the examples we set, because if you're a coach, you have to show up on time.
Right. Oh, yeah.
You have to be like, where are you going? Like, set the
You have
direction.
to be organized.
Exactly.
Absolutely.
So
you got to
I do-
know, right? Yeah. I mean,
there's a joke in my house. If I say we're leaving at 7 a.m, like I'm in the car pulling the car out of the garage at like 5 to 7. So they kind of figured that out after a while. We have funny
when you left them
stories.
behind.
Well, we have funny stories where my one daughter in particular was always like just cutting it close. She'd have two right shoes. Like she had to wear like one of the guy coach's
Right.
shoes
Oh my gosh, hilarious.
because she didn't have her shoes. And
That's
so we have funny
hilarious.
stories like that.
Oh,
but
that's
yeah.
so good. It's
Yeah.
always good to have that grounding
Yes.
piece within the
Yes.
family, right?
Yeah.
Exactly.
No, for sure.
So then once your kids, aged out of the school sports, right? Then you're like, well, now I've got all this time,
Yeah.
right? I should probably join 3 or 4 boards,
Yes,
right?
exactly. Exactly.
So talk us through kind of how you got, I think you have more hours in a day because you are part of, 17, 18 boards. What is it
No.
these days?
No, but well, let me just step back
Yeah.
and say I was at what became JP Morgan for 23 years.
Right.
And JP Morgan is a great bank. They
Yep.
do really good work, but I didn't know what I didn't know.
So
and
interesting.
I just
Yeah. Go
so,
a little deeper with that.
So bottom line is like, I'm very stable. Like I said, I was at like JP Morgan for
Right.
23
Yep.
years, loved my job. And a couple people that used to work at JP Morgan were kind of knocking on my door.
Interesting.
And truthfully,
That always feels good,
yeah,
right?
no, exactly. But it's stressful because it's like,
totally.
oh, shoot, I have to make a decision.
Right.
But basically, they were knocking on my door, and I had come off of the banking crisis, and my kids were getting older.
There you
I
go.
had more time.
Right.
And so basically, I said yes one day to move over to Wintrust. And truth be told, the job that they had hired me for was the credit exec.
Wow.
So I would sit in the back room and basically help make decisions
Right,
on
right.
what lending,
Wow.
what loans we would make.
Right.
And I hated it. And I'll tell you why I hated it, which I didn't really
You
realize.
didn't get any of this.
I didn't get any of this.
Right.
I love to be out in the market.
Totally.
And here's another thing. If I ask you a question,
Right.
you might answer with something that prompts more questions.
Completely.
And so I might say to someone like, well, why is their gross profit margin improving?
Right.
But then like I'm not there for that Q&A where
Right.
it just keeps going.
Right. Because if I say X, then you'll go, all right, well, let's go
Yes.
deeper on that.
Yes.
And if I say Y, you're like, well, that seems strange.
Exactly.
Why would that be the case?
And another thing I realized, I am making an intuitive decision on people.
Right.
Like, who knows what they're doing and why are they successful? Like, to me, that's just as much intuitive as it is like
Yes.
the X's and O's of the answer.
It's more art than science.
It's so much.
Right.
So, anyways, bottom line is like I had been the last job at JP Morgan was in their public finance group, nonprofit banking.
right.
And the very first basically the bankers knew that I had come from that
Okay.
target market.
Right.
And one of the very first opportunities that someone said, hey, you were in the nonprofit world. come out on this call with me was Chicago Jesuit Academy.
Interesting.
And
CJA.
I
fans.
ended up meeting Matthew Lynch.
yeah.
And first of all, at that moment, that organization had like maybe an $800,000 budget.
Right.
And if I had been at JP Morgan, they would have absolutely never allowed me
right.
to even engage. But
Don't talk to them.
You know, Matthew Lynch is a superstar.
He is.
And I was like, oh my God. Like, I know how to provide so much guidance here
Right.
on should you do a tax exempt bond, should
right.
you not, and all this good stuff. So I just had so much fun.
That's so great.
And
well, they had huge
chase-
plans. They had
yes.
huge plans. They wanted to be so much bigger,
Yeah.
right? And you got to love the model, right? They started
Oh,
with fifth graders.
Amazing. Yeah.
Let's go fifth. Let's go sixth,
Yeah.
right? Slow,
Yeah.
right? Slow and steady, right?
So long and the short of it is, I just enjoyed that, like the
It's so good,
process.
right?
And so I'm like, okay, I'm going to start knocking on the doors of my
Love it.
old clients.
Right.
Like, I'll still
Hey.
do my credit approval job, but they're
So
not
you're
going to
still
tell
doing-
me. Yeah. They're not going
Funny.
to tell me not to bring in revenue.
Right, exactly.
So funny enough, like I was
You're a
doing
producer.
it. Yeah, I was a producer. And the funniest part about the story is like, okay, like my manager at the time, he's like, okay. And I was doing my credit approval job like a lot at night.
Uh-huh.
And
That's fascinating.
yeah. And so long and the short of it is I remember I was sitting outside of a prospect waiting for like a 10 o'clock meeting.
Right.
And I get an email from my manager announcing to the whole place that I'm moving into this realm full time.
That's
which
the
was
first
great.
you heard of it.
Yes. Well, my old manager, who really I love. I mean, he was my manager
So
off
great.
and on for my entire career, but he wasn't a great communicator.
No, clearly, if he's letting you know what he's letting
Exactly.
everyone else know,
Exactly.
right?
But no, it's been a great, fun journey at Wintrust
so great.
because, and here's, I guess we started off with being on boards,
Right.
But Ed Waymer,
Yep.
who was a founder of the Wintrust story,
Right.
was so civically engaged. He set such a great example, not just to me, but to
Right.
the entire universe
Right.
of professionals at Wintrust.
It's the expectation that we talked about with
Exactly.
with your players, right?
Exactly.
When the coach, when the manager, when the top
Yeah.
person in the room is setting the example
Yes.
and setting the expectation, how can you not jump on board?
Exactly.
Right?
No pun intended.
Right.
So,
Well played.
well, what I was going to say is, so yes, like, so he set that example. And for perspective today,
Right.
we represent 700 boards across our footprint. Now, I say
Amazing.
that
Right.
rolls off my tongue.
Right.
But what I really didn't realize, I happened to run into a very large corporation, their social impact person.
Okay.
And they have hubs. One of their major hubs is Chicago.
Okay.
And for perspective, they have 5 board members in Chicago.
Wow.
Compared to
Right,
now,
right.
not all of our 700 boards are in Chicago, but
Right.
like hundreds
Sure.
are in Chicago.
Absolutely.
And it really kind of like, oh,
Huh.
wow. Like that really does like
Right.
amaze me as to what Wintrust has done.
Right,
And
right.
kind of again, the example that they've set, it's like
Absolutely.
everyone above a certain like threshold
Right,
of your
right.
career should
Right.
be on a board. And what I think is awesome about that, it's not so why is that good for
Right.
the
Right.
corporation?
Yeah.
You are meeting people that you would not otherwise have the opportunity to
You're not
be
gonna
in
be
the,
in the room
trenches with.
Completely.
And I feel like, sometimes you hear the name of someone and you're like, oh, that person's
Right.
such a big dog,
Right.
you
Right.
know?
Exactly.
And then you're actually in the trenches, like I said,
Right.
with them, and they're normal people.
Just
they
getting
roll
stuff
up their
done,
sleeves
right?
the same way,
Right.
and then you end up being like, at the same like friendship level. And
Totally.
I think it's just it's a phenomenal opportunity, truthfully.
Right. No, it's great. And
Mhm.
and what's great is again with Ed and the leadership at Wintrust, just acknowledging that it's also civic minded, right?
Yeah.
It's great kind of individually at the core.
Yes.
But then kind of holistically
Yeah.
and at a higher level, just the impact that Wintrust is able to make in a community like Chicago, right?
100%.
Just really
We all rise and fall together, right?
Right,
So like the more
absolutely.
that we truly are, all kind of working together, I think it's positive for us.
Absolutely.
For sure.
I mean, that's the trajectory we all
Yeah.
want to be on, right?
Exactly.
And rather than, again, it goes back to our abundance, right?
Exactly.
We want to be everyone wants to be part of a winning team,
Yes.
right? So if we can help move that process along,
Exactly.
how great, right?
Yeah.
I mean, it's really, really amazing. And I think what I see kind of from the cheap seats is the Wintrust tentacles are really out there,
Yeah.
right? And in really good and positive ways.
Yeah.
And I think what I continue to be impressed with you and your journey is your ability to connect the dots,
Yeah.
right? And I think that, that might be your superpower, right? That you're able to see, oh my gosh, if I can connect RJ to this person to that person, and then all of a sudden, right, the web is
Yeah.
stronger, right? So
I
talk a
do-
little bit
now-
about kind of just that thinking of
Yeah.
how are you evaluating that? And I'm sure sometimes it just happens. Other times I know
Yeah.
you're very intentional in doing it.
Well, I will say that I do believe that that's just my skill set. I don't know. It's like something I was born with, but I do love, like, I don't care who I meet with. I feel like every single conversation I need to have like a follow-up that
Right.
is connecting someone. I get a thrill out of it, number
I'm sure
one.
you do. You must.
And I don't know, like it's funny because even my husband being a coach,
Right? Of course.
I would talk to one of his players and I'm like, hon, you should introduce so-and-so to so-and-so because
Right.
that's their major. And he
Right.
goes, oh, I didn't even think about
Right.
that. So, but he's got obviously other skills that
Sure,
are his
right,
strengths,
absolutely.
but that is definitely something that I really love to do.
Right. Well, and I think what a great building on that is you're also very interested. It goes back to your
Yeah.
conversation about when you were in credit, when you were in the back
Yeah.
office. You're not asking those questions. You love asking those questions. Like you are interested in that.
Do you know what I've realized? There are storytellers and there are question askers. I'm a question asker.
Yes, you are. I love
Yes. But I
So
realize that
good.
I'm not a storyteller. I have friends who I can just sit and listen to. And it's funny that I've
Right.
dissected this. I have a twin brother. And my twin brother is a storyteller.
How am I just learning this now?
Isn't that funny? But I realize he's a storyteller.
That's so
Yeah,
interesting.
I know. So it's kind of funny. I've
Right.
more of that just recently come to that, like,
That's
observation in
so
my life.
interesting. So,
Yeah.
so is the questioner, right?
Yeah.
Is that like how have you grown into that role? Like, was that just obviously it's something inside,
Yeah.
right? And it's a genuine
Yeah.
curiosity,
Oh, yeah.
right?
Well, I have a boring career path because I've been a commercial banker
exactly
forever. That's it.
right?
But
Wah, wah.
yeah, the reason, and I always say it's non-glamorous, but it's not going away.
Right,
So,
right.
but I love my job because of exactly this. I just like sometimes I'm like literally talking to myself while I'm listening, and I'm like, I'm getting to do this. Like
Right.
I've met such
How
amazing
cool,
people.
right? Exactly. If we can
And I
only
love
see
to
your
hear
thought
their
bubble,
story.
right? I love
Yes,
that.
yes.
Where's Kandace going with
Yes.
this thought bubble, right?
But I love to hear people's stories. So
Right.
like I don't want to just hear today. I want to hear like where did you grow up? And,
Right.
How many kids in your family?
Totally.
And,
Oh,
so
yeah.
it's
No,
fun.
it is
I'm a
fun.
big believer in birth order.
Oh, all right, bring that on.
Well, the
Yeah.
oldest child
Right.
is responsible.
Of course.
The youngest child is a little bit more free-spirited, probably,
Okay.
just
All right.
stuff like that.
All right.
No, I love that stuff. I used to joke around that when I made a loan,
Right.
that I wanted to know your birth order and your horoscope. So,
So, with 3 daughters, how has that played out?
very
As you would expect?
Yes, I mean, not every single way,
No,
but yes, totally.
But, right? And
Yep.
it's tricky when you have 3. It's
Yep.
very obvious, right? When you
yep.
have 3. It's very
Yep.
obvious that we have 2, right? And so, yes, it's easy for our children to divide by 2,
Yeah.
right? And well, you're spending more time with
Yeah.
her or you're spending more time with
Right.
him or whatever,
Right,
right?
right, right.
But I think with 3, oldest, middle, youngest,
you got the
right?
middle
You got the
child.
middle
Yep,
child
exactly.
and that.
Yeah.
And did that play out? Like
My middle daughter was such a competitor, so she kind of carved herself out. But I just think my oldest
didn't get
daughter
stuck
is
in the middle.
cautious,
Oh, okay.
that kind of a thing. My youngest daughter probably loves to be like the center of attention
right.
in certain respects.
Sure. Right.
Not over the top on any of that, but
no.
yeah.
but you know,
Yeah.
there's a little bit
Yeah,
of stereotyping
for
in there,
sure,
right?
for sure.
That's really interesting.
Yeah.
And do prospective clients, do they acquiesce to your question, or do they,
You know what?
doesn't
It's
matter
usually just it's so like just like
right, just in
flowing.
banter, right?
Yeah,
Exactly.
exactly.
So,
Yeah.
as you talked about, that's a great conversation on the golf course,
Yeah,
right?
totally.
Right? Yeah.
Love that.
Where's your birth order, right?
Exactly.
Yeah,
Exactly.
because it's non-threatening on a golf course, right?
Yeah.
And so yeah, of course I'm going to open up there,
Right,
right?
exactly. Yes, yes.
So, did you get a chance to play much this summer?
you know,
Yeah, I'm kind of disappointed. We didn't play at all this summer.
You know what? I will say this. Evanston Golf Club,
Yes.
which is where I belong, was really closed all last summer. And
Bummer.
it didn't open up until July 11th.
Wow.
And then you couldn't bring guests for a long time.
Sure.
And so, really, I've only played one time at Evanston with guests.
Wow.
So, what I have done in the past, because my schedule kind of going
Right,
back,
yep,
I'm very
exactly.
like religious about feeding my calendar.
Yes. Yes.
And what I
It's
had
well
done in the
fed also,
past,
by the
it's
way.
well fed. I try
So
to do
again,
that.
thank you for carving out this little spot
no,
with
this
us.
is great. I'm enjoying it.
Good, good.
But I would say like every Wednesday morning I would line up a golf game so
Right.
that I just knew it was on my calendar.
Perfect.
I never got that situated this year because it really
that
wasn't
interesting? Right.
it
You
just
didn't have the
didn't
flow,
flow.
right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So the rhythm wasn't there. But next year
There we
we'll
go.
be
That
back at it.
sounds like fun.
RJ,
Absolutely.
Back at it.
That's good.
Yes.
You've been very kind in inviting me to play
Yeah.
in foursomes that are charity golf outings, right?
Yes.
So we've had some good scramble.
Yes.
We've had some good luck on the scramble,
Yes.
right? So any fun scrambles this summer?
Oh yeah, I
this
had
year?
definitely some fun ones. But going back, I wanted to share with you, like going back to those Wednesdays.
Yes, yes.
What I have done in the past is my goal, going back to making connections, would be this might be Healthcare Wednesday. This
Nice.
might be
course.
whatever different
Higher ed
categories.
Wednesday,
exactly.
right?
But the goal would always be to make that connection for people
Right.
so that it's beyond just me.
Right.
And going back, like something that I always say about Wintrust and what I feel empowered to do
Right.
is add value for you in
Totally.
ways that have nothing to do with banking.
Right.
Which I feel that's so fun.
Absolutely.
So-
Well, and again, it's top of mind for you,
Yeah.
and I love your comment that what I don't really think about it. Like
Yeah.
it's just part of who you are,
Yeah.
right? So you're doing all of this, adding value each step of the way, and it doesn't feel like work
Yeah.
because it's natural, and,
Yeah.
and you're engaging in that way. And so I mean, it's just, and we're all the beneficiaries of
Yeah.
that, right? I mean, it's really pretty fun.
No, it's
right?
fun. One of my favorite stories about that is this goes back quite a ways away, but I don't even know where I came up with the idea, but to have this junior board event.
Yes, exactly.
And the fun part of the story is like I came back and I'm like, you guys, we should do this. And, we'll get some tables and, have this event. And we'll go to Costco and buy like, Miller
love it.
Lite and
Exactly.
some wine
Right.
and we'll volunteer bartend.
Perfect.
And Ed Waymer at the time had 20 somethings and young 30 somethings. And he loved
Perfect.
the idea. And I don't
Feed
know
right
if you
in.
know this, but Ed throws a great party.
Yeah, I've heard that.
So
yes.
bottom line is he was like, okay, I'm
I got
taking
this.
over this event. And so where I
Hilarious.
was going to spend like, I don't know, $2,000.
Right.
He came out and he multiplied that by a lot. And he actually was really, really assertive to fill the room with
Right.
all the leadership at
Right.
Wintrust. And
so
it's been
good.
a great event ever since. But one thing so we had Ed speak just to say like, why should you be on a board?
right.
Like, what has he gotten out of it? And he just stopped in the middle of his sentence. He's looking at all these like 20 somethings.
Right.
And he goes, I bet Chase has never bought you a beer. And it was just, it was funny.
Hilarious.
He's
So
a
good.
funny guy.
He is.
Ed is funny.
He is good.
So,
absolutely. Absolutely.
So now we probably have had that event for 9 years, maybe.
Absolutely.
With a little gap, obviously, for COVID.
Right. Yeah, exactly. But unfortunately, the last couple of years,
Yeah.
it's coincided with our event, so we haven't been able to attend.
Well,
so,
you know what else I think about that event that I think is really meaningful? So obviously you would like young people to get on a board.
correct.
But, if you didn't grow up in a family that was not civically engaged,
Yep.
you don't even know that there's a nonprofit world out there
Absolutely.
of good missions. And I think
Absolutely.
even just that alone
Right.
is really a meaningful experience for young people.
Completely. And I think to kind of ratchet it up a little bit, if you didn't see someone in your family participating, then you also felt like that, well, that's totally out of reach.
Exactly.
Like, there's no way that I would qualify to be on a
Exactly.
board, right?
Exactly.
And so, really breaking it down that, yes, we need that involvement, that input, that
Yep.
perspective, right?
Yeah.
Because I think if you're not either from or experienced in or have a job like that, well, what am I going to add value?
Yeah.
Like, how do I add value to that?
Yeah.
But no, I mean,
Yeah.
it's so valuable,
Yeah.
right?
No, 100%. Yeah.
That's so great. That's so great. So do the organizations that you're involved in now, do they all have junior boards or advisory boards or?
Actually, one of them has started a junior board.
Okay.
So they've been trying to build that up.
Right.
I think junior boards, as like they can be transient a little bit
Yes.
because a lot of young people with great intentions
Yep.
get involved, but then their lives are changing. They might be having
right.
families
Exactly.
or whatever. So I do think there's an art to it, and
Completely.
you have to have reasonable expectations
Right.
about what you're
Well,
striving
and you need
for.
that base, right? You need kind of the
Exactly.
core, right? And I think that's a really astute observation because it can become transactional,
Yes.
right? And all right, I will do this for this period, and I will
Yeah.
do that, and that'll be done,
Yeah.
right? Versus no, we want to build relationships,
Correct.
here, right?
Exactly.
And that's hopefully the benefit for nonprofits is the idea that if we can grow them in our mission. Just how impactful, how impactful of a board member will they be? A full board member, right?
Yeah. Actually, we have our coffee talks.
Yes.
And we're always trying to think of what are some things that we could do to bring value.
Right, right.
And a couple things on the junior boards. One thing that I was really encouraging the junior board members is to go walk around the room and
Right.
see what the other junior boards are doing, but also maybe align with one of them or two of them and
Right.
do some joint events because at
So
least
good.
it brings more energy to
Completely.
the world.
Right.
And then we were thinking about maybe having a coffee talk on best practices of junior
So good.
boards. Just,
Right.
I don't know, just to share
Right.
observations and
Absolutely.
good practices
Absolutely.
and stuff
I've
like
not
that.
been able
So-
to make one of the coffee talks in a bit. How's that attendance been?
Oh, we had over 100 people just
That's so
last
great.
week.
That's
and
so great.
It was funny. And obviously it's free. So
Right.
some people don't show up, but we were oversubscribed and
Were you?
people kept emailing and I'm like, just show up.
Just show up.
But I was like,
Keep coming.
okay, I
Ooh,
hope it's
this could-
okay. But it was awesome.
Right.
And it really, the messaging was about try to connect with people that you a little bit outside of
Right,
your
right.
typical realm. Staying positive.
Right. So good.
Yeah, so it was I thought a really excellent conversation. And I
Totally.
think more than anything, it just brings people together.
Right.
And nothing overly magical, but I do think something about our world today
Yep.
is we all have an algorithm, right, that's feeding our stuff.
Exactly. Right.
And you don't know what you don't know. So
Right,
how do you
right.
get new information into your algorithm?
Work
it's
the room. Work the room.
You're being boxed out to a certain extent. So I
Completely.
think every single, CEO
right.
or development team should be flying their flag in
Right.
as many places as you
I
possibly
love
can.
that. I love that. And
Yeah.
right. And I think, be in the room.
Yeah.
Jump out and get in.
Yeah.
Right. Sometimes we got to jump into the deep end.
Yeah.
Sometimes we can just kind of, ease our way in. But
Yeah.
but I think you have to have that balance,
Yeah.
right? And know that, yeah, I can work. I can be in this room,
Oh,
even though I
yeah.
don't really know anyone, right? And that's what I love about the big
Yeah.
events that Wintrust
Yeah.
hosts, right? I mean the Christmas or holiday
yeah.
gathering,
Yep.
the Final Four, the
Yep.
March Madness, right?
Yep.
And so how is that? I continue to be amazed. In the Great Hall, it's such great
Yeah.
space, right?
Yeah.
And it's funny when you look out and you see that actually someone's trying to get something done. Like
Yeah.
their desk, their work desk
Oh,
is right there,
funny.
right?
Yes, yes.
It's just like clearly they're getting something done right. I got 2 minutes before, right?
Yeah.
And right. So
When people have started at the bank, I do laugh because I'm like, it's 12 o'clock and somebody's going testing.
Right.
There's a microphone out there. But I'm like, welcome to Wintrust. You know
Welcome
what
to
I mean?
Wintrust,
But,
exactly.
Oh, I love
But
that.
great corporate partner,
Yes,
right? I mean, yeah.
Exactly.
So-
and I'll tell you, those parties are hard.
Oh my
Because
gosh,
they
yeah.
sound great.
Right.
But you're standing on a marble floor for 6 hours, like at the March Madness party.
yeah.
Like our first guest will be there at 12.
Of course.
And they go back to work.
Right.
And sit down in a chair. And
Right.
we're sitting there at 6:30 when
Oh,
the lights
yeah.
go on. You know what I
Absolutely.
mean?
Right. No, standing
Yeah.
is
No, it's hard.
On the again,
It's fun.
great.
Don't get me wrong. It's
Absolutely,
fun
but
too.
no, I walk out of there after a few hours. And I'm like, oh my gosh, I'm sore.
Yeah,
right?
but I will say that our nonprofit clients
Right.
should work that room because
Oh,
there's
completely.
private equity, there's
Completely. And again,
entrepreneurs.
right? And you've introduced me to several
Yeah.
people that are
Yes.
there, right?
Yeah.
And you're always RJ. You got to meet, right?
Yes.
And oh, I got somebody that you should
Yep.
meet, right?
Yeah.
And I love because it comes from here, comes
Yeah.
from inside, and generally it's someone that's doing something that we're doing,
Yes.
and or someone that this would be a good contact for you.
Yeah,
Right.
exactly.
And so that's what
Yeah.
I love that
Yeah.
you're, again, your wheels are spinning.
Trying.
You know,
No, it's fun. It's
That's
been
so
a good.
great.
It's been an amazing run. Like
Well done.
Wintrust
Right.
has their brand has come a long way since I joined.
How about it? How about
14
it?
years ago.
right.
So
Right.
yeah.
It's been 14 years.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's pretty crazy.
And I will say I'm really proud of like the brand that we have created. Like I do feel like we have given back to this community
Totally.
and in the form of so many respects, but like we're a very strong supporter to our clients.
Right.
You know, the board
Great partner. Right, right.
presence and things like that. So yeah, no, I
Yeah.
feel good about what
No,
we're
that's
doing.
great. And I'd love to dive in a little bit further, a little
Okay.
deeper into the brand piece, right?
Okay.
Because, you know, Wintrust, and I've had conversations with some folks at Wintrust and Rich Murphy being one and some other folks that have been doing this a long
Yeah.
time, right?
Mm-hmm.
And just the idea that, you know, Wintrust is the umbrella, right?
Mm-hmm.
But then the community banks are branded local, right?
Right.
So talk a little bit about kind of that, you know, kind of the dance
Yeah.
of, you know, we were talking earlier about Hinsdale Bank, right?
Sure.
And that's a Wintrust Bank,
Yeah.
right? But it's branded Hinsdale,
Yeah.
right? So talk a little bit about that.
Yeah, you know, I think just going back in time, it was all about local.
Yes.
And so from a consumer point of view, you really do want to belong to the local community where you
Right.
could walk in and be like, RJ, I
Right.
need this.
Oh,
or,
Candace, great to see you. Come on in,
Exactly.
right?
I think that's great.
Right, right.
When you think about a commercial organization, and let's just say like, you know, we do business with like a Rush University
Right,
Medical
right,
Center.
right.
They don't want to deal with the bank on the corner. They might like still want to walk in there.
Well, they want the touch points.
Yes.
But
they need a little bit
bandwidth.
more
Little
bandwidth. Good
bandwidth,
word.
right?
So the Wintrust brand is really kind of the commercial banking brand.
Right.
And, you know, whether you're an entrepreneur or like a 501c3,
Right.
if you're a larger organization, you just need to know that there's a little bit more bandwidth.
Right.
And so that's kind of the balancing
Interesting.
act.
Yeah, I like that.
I think obviously, you know the Wintrust story.
Right.
You're sophisticated. You
Oh,
understand.
why, thank you.
Yes.
Thank you.
You understand Hinsdale's charter.
Right.
Obviously, one of our differentiating products is the MaxSafe.
Right.
So we can offer $4 million of FDIC insurance by divvying up
Right.
your balances.
Talk a little bit about this because I've
Yeah.
you know back in the COVID days, right?
Yep.
That was a huge
Oh,
selling point,
yeah.
and folks
Silicon
didn't really
Valley.
right. Folks didn't really understand that.
Yeah.
Right.
So essentially, just, you know, the largest bank out there, you know, JP Morgan
Right.
has $250,000 of FDIC insurance. Well, because we're using our charter legal structure, we have 16 charters now because we did acquire a bank in Michigan,
really?
Macatawa.
Oh.
So instead of having, so we have now 14 million versus 3.75
Right.
of FDIC insurance. So you have one account. You always could know where your money is if you
Right,
need
right.
it or want to.
Sure.
But essentially, we're just backfilling your balances to get like that
have the
FDIC
coverage.
insurance
Right.
from each of those charters.
Right.
And so a lot of nonprofit boards really want to know that they're covered.
Right.
And it's just like, check it off the list.
Boom. Right.
We actually have another product. We call it the ICS. I forgot even what ICS stands for, but it's essentially the same concept,
Okay.
but with cousins or affiliates, if
Oh,
you want to say it.
interesting.
And we
Right.
can get up to 125 million of FDIC insurance.
I wish I had that problem.
I know.
wish we had that problem.
Exactly. But there were actually a handful of larger organizations
I'm sure.
during that Silicon Valley phenomenon
Right.
that moved money over to Wintrust for that reason.
Isn't that great?
And, you know, I mean, I felt great because it was something we could do to offer
that value add,
Yep,
absolutely,
exactly.
right? So good, so good.
Yeah.
That's really great. Well done,
Yeah.
well done, team. Right?
Yes.
Yeah, exactly. So when Ed's running the show, right? I mean, he's basically the founder, right? So he
Yep.
brings that energy to the table. Now Tim's in place,
Right.
and it's been what, 3 years? with
At
Tim?
least,
Maybe 4?
it's been a little bit.
Right,
Yeah.
right, so-
yeah. No, and Tim is great.
Right. And
Yep.
again, seeing him at the holiday party,
Yep.
at March Madness, like
Yep.
he's engaged.
Yes.
He is not up in an ivory tower,
Well,
right?
I'll tell you, I feel so good for me because I literally, we had this thing we were doing like a little like coffee talk within just amongst our
Just
231
internal?
community, and
Oh,
it was
nice.
just a little bit of a motivational like
For those keeping track,
something.
231, that's 231 South LaSalle.
Yes.
That's HQ for
Yes.
Wintrust.
For commercial
For
banking.
commercial banking.
Yes.
Sorry. Yes.
So Tim was speaking on
Nice.
this one given morning, and so I'm like, oh, I texted Tim. And I'm like, are you close?
Right.
But I just the fact that I am texting him and he's texting me.
Right. Pretty
you know,
amazing.
Ed, Rich.
Right,
Like I think
right.
it's the fact that they're so accessible.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
and if
no,
they
I
were
mean,
sitting here, you would not know.
no, they're such grounded,
They're
good
just
people.
grounded, good
Yeah.
people, right?
Yeah.
I mean, it's really amazing to
Yeah.
see that again through the
Yeah.
journey, right?
Yeah.
So I first met Ed when I was working in Waukegan, and we
Oh.
had partners in Lake Forest, and that's where
Okay.
Ed's office was.
Yes.
He was at Lake Forest Bank,
Yes.
right? And he was on the second floor, and I can remember, oh my gosh, we're going to see Ed Waymer. Like
Okay.
I was kind of like, ooh, I
Yeah.
don't know that I'm ready for this, right?
Yeah.
And that was 20 years ago.
But he
right?
is such
Oh
a
my
grounded
gosh,
guy.
He
Yeah.
is like from the jump.
Yeah.
Like talk about making someone feel comfortable.
Yep.
He was that, right? And so really amazing,
Yeah,
right?
but
And
you know, one quick thing about each of those guys,
Yes.
not only are they grounded, but they're super intelligent.
Oh,
and
yeah.
so like,
Oh,
you
yeah.
know,
Right.
there's a lot
They're
of
bright. Right.
X's and O's behind
absolutely
like a
but-
grounded person.
But I would say that, I don't again, from the cheap seats, I don't feel like they are like when they walk in a room,
Mm-hmm.
I don't feel like they're presenting like they're the smartest in the room,
yeah.
right? And
No, I
and
agree with that.
and probably 9 times out of 10 they probably are,
Yeah.
right? But they don't present that way,
Yeah.
and that just engenders their
Yeah.
team, right?
Yeah.
And so you've got to feel good. Like I can text them, I can
Yeah.
be with them.
Yes. Yeah.
That's
no,
really great.
it's interesting because I think, the story that I've always heard is like, Ed and Rich decided to do this and, they had young kids
Right,
and young
right.
families at the time. And, like Rich tells a story where there was a snowstorm and he's like, okay, we got to go shovel the parking lot,
Love it. Love it.
Yeah. And I just feel like same kind of thing with
Right,
Ed.
right.
You're the teller
Exactly,
because
right.
that's what you did that day.
Exactly.
And I think they started off, who would have ever thought that this would become what
Right,
it is?
exactly.
Even when I came to Wintrust 14 years ago,
Right.
I didn't really know what to expect, but I feel like you start momentum and then
Right.
other good people jump on and it's
Exactly.
just a contribution from
Right,
so many different
right.
people
Absolutely.
in so many different ways.
Right, right.
And so it's been an amazing
That's so
experience.
great.
Yeah,
That's so great.
It's been fun.
That's really great.
And going back to when I left JP Morgan, funny enough, I'm a super steady person
Right.
and I actually did like shop around
Did
in
you?
a sense of like, well, if I'm going to
Where-
consider leaving JP
I should
Morgan, I
probably
should
look at-
other places. And I did, in a sense, wimp out because I did go to Wintrust because I knew people.
Right, right.
Okay. But I would have never started the business that we have today
Right.
because I would have been like,
No.
no, that doesn't even exist. You
Right.
couldn't even succeed. You
Right,
know what I mean?
right. How-
And it's amazing that it is such a great place to do
Right.
this public finance 501c3
Right.
business because of the community tie.
Right.
And Ed Waymer's engagement, being on boards, and
Yep.
obviously other people, so many other leadership people
Absolutely.
too. But
Absolutely.
yeah,
But
it's
setting the
worked out
tone,
great.
Right? Setting
Yeah.
the tone. So talk about kind of how you engage your team around this work, right? Because it's, to your point, it's banking.
Yeah.
And it's 501c3 banking.
Yeah.
So not glamorous.
Yeah.
Really not glamorous, right? And so if someone wants to get into banking, they're probably not raising their hand really to be on the nonprofit side.
Yeah.
Right? So talk about how you engage and how you've just continued to build your team because there's
Yeah.
some great folks that
Yeah.
are part of your team.
No, you know what? It's been definitely a long journey. I think, gosh, there was maybe 3 of us for a long time, just pounding the pavement
Right.
and getting stuff done. But I think a lot of people that do like join the nonprofit arena
Yep.
do want to do good
Interesting.
and have success in
Right,
business.
right.
We have a diverse team in a sense of like men and women in
Yep.
terms of, just
Right.
people of
All
color,
the
all
demographics.
kinds of stuff.
Right,
Yes.
right. All different
Um,
perspectives, all different strengths. Right.
Exactly. And I think like, again, I just try to show the way in a sense of like, the way that I do things and just try like adding value
Right.
beyond banking,
Right.
being responsive. I mean, we have a great team at the bank. We call them CSPs, customer service professionals.
Yep.
Like we're standing on their shoulders. And
Because they're the front line.
Well,
they're getting it done.
some
right?
of our clients need a wire right now, and
Right.
I'm sitting here talking to you. So
Exactly.
they're awesome, and they're,
So good.
we just talk about responsiveness all
Right,
the time.
right.
So they're really key to that. And, I'm a big person about just saying, like, I got your email and I'll get back to you, but like,
Right.
just acknowledge
Acknowledge.
it. You know
Right,
what I
right.
mean? So, like, that sort of a thing. The bankers on our team are, like, we talk about engagement.
Right.
I want people to go to galas, and I want our team to bring people that can add value, not just
So
like a
good.
bunch of bankers
Right,
at the table,
right.
but like people that can, like I said, like, add other kinds of value. And we're just trying to show up every day
So
and
good.
get things done.
Yep. Great. So, Kandace, I just want to jump back to something that we were talking about earlier, right? That kind of the associate board piece. And I think there's some value in if we jump in to the idea of if you don't know, you don't know,
Yeah.
right? And so how either through the junior board events that Wintrust runs or the boards that you currently sit on, how do you assimilate board members and kind of break down some of the preconceived notions of I could never be on a board?
So I think something that I kind of preach to my team and anyone at Wintrust that I run into is, you think everyone in the room has these deep connections to each other,
Right.
and you're the outsider.
Totally.
And I would say,
Isn't that every room?
I think it
Who
is
else feels that way,
I
right?
think it's such an interesting phenomenon. But so what I encourage, if I'm on a board, and I'm
Right,
the board
right.
chair of Arupe College,
Right,
and there's
right.
just been recently a couple new board members, and I've assigned and asked people to
Nice.
meet with them one-on-one.
That's so good.
What I actually suggest to my team is for each of my professionals to actually try to meet with every other board member one-on-one. Again, for the networking purposes, but also
Absolutely.
just the connecting
right.
and, just making it more comfortable. And
Right.
then you really get so much more information from people about like, what do they think about like the mission and
Right,
what could
right.
be improved and
Right.
all these good ideas.
Well, and that's just got to help the discussions at
Yes,
the board level too,
exactly,
right? So that if I know
exactly.
you and I
Yeah.
know the other members around the table,
Yep.
then we can truly have a free flow
Yep.
of discussion, right? Versus, oh boy, I don't know is this a hot button
Yep.
item, right? And so
Yeah.
that's
And
so
even
good.
going back to, like a younger person
Right,
at
right.
Wintrust, you are empowered to go to lunch every day with someone.
Isn't that great?
Like, why should you pay for your own lunch?
Right.
So basically, I mean, I
That's
just
so
am
good.
kind of preaching that.
Right, right.
You never know, like, who they're going to know
Right,
and
right.
who they can help you get connected to. And they might be on a board that you're not even aware of. There's just so many, I think, positives that can come out
Right.
of face-to-face meetings.
That's so great.
So that's kind of
Right?
what I preach.
It's that depth piece,
Yeah,
right? And
exactly.
right, it's the breadth and the
Yeah,
depth,
yeah,
right? And
yeah.
so that's just awesome. And so do you encourage folks? I love this suggestion. It was made to me long ago. When you've had a really nice conversation, whether it's over lunch or breakfast or a podcast, for instance, who else should I talk to, right? And
Oh,
do you
yeah.
encourage, like, that is so good. Do you have like 2 or 3 names? Other people. This was such a great whatever. This
Yeah.
was such a great lunch. I learned so much. Who else can I talk to?
Yeah, I probably don't say it in that like exact
Right,
way.
right.
But definitely,
But it comes
like
up,
it's
right?
always kind of like, well, who else could you connect me to? Or like, how do we do something together that's positive? I think
love
that's
that.
the other way that I kind of probably come
Right,
at it.
right.
Yeah.
That's so good. Dig a little deeper into that. So when you've said that, think back, like, what was a surprise when someone's like, oh my gosh, absolutely.
Well, I have a fun story. A young superstar that I network with, she's a Hush Blackwell attorney,
Okay.
Sarah Quinn. I met her through
Shout
her
out to Sarah
husband.
Quinn.
Sarah Quinn, shout out. But okay, so Rosecrans is
Okay.
a newer client of ours.
Okay.
And they do,
Doing great work.
do you know what they
Yeah,
do? Drug and
right.
alcohol rehab and
Right.
things of that
So
nature.
good. Yep.
Well, basically,
Impactful work.
really, again, focused on how can we help beyond banking.
Right.
We met with some of their professionals that are not in banking, but they're in their mission-oriented
Great.
activities. And one of the guys was actually, number one, looking for junior board folks, but also just their goal is to connect with corporations to be the referral
Wow.
if an employee has an
Right.
issue.
Sure.
So I
Like
kind of
an EAP, right?
Correct.
Employee Assistance Program.
and I actually thought of Sarah because her line of legal work is with HR professionals. So, like,
Wow.
connecting them
Boom.
from that regard.
Right?
But Sarah grew up in Rockford, and her grandmother was friends with the namesake of Rosecrans. And so I didn't even know that.
How? Right.
And
You
Sarah's
would
going
never
to
be
join
able to
their
get there.
board, and she's so happy and excited about
Oh my
it.
gosh.
And I just thought, like, oh my God, what a small world.
Seriously.
And so I think just, so just
Again,
that's kind of fun.
asking
You don't
questions,
know what's around the
engaging.
corner.
Completely.
And I always have faith that anyone I connect Sarah to, she's going to take the ball and run with it.
That's a pretty
She's
good
awesome.
feeling, right?
Yes,
Like,
she's awesome.
at no point are you like, oh gosh, if she says, right? Like,
yeah, or she's going to get mad at me for
right,
like
no,
sending someone
no,
over to her.
exactly.
Yeah,
no, right?
So,
We need more of those people in
Yeah.
our lives, don't we? Like
Yes.
just that. If I refer anyone, or if I
Trust
say
me,
go talk
just-
to, right?
yeah.
It's
Yeah.
just so good,
but
right?
I
And-
love when I hear those kinds of stories because
Right.
they're just like it's exponential.
right,
you
right,
know?
absolutely,
So,
absolutely.
But going back to, I think there's a lot of situations where people think they're the ones that don't know anyone
Right,
and everyone
right.
else has a
Yes,
deep relationship.
right.
And I think you need to remind yourself that that's probably not the case. And just, get out there and tell your story
Right.
and make
But-
those connections.
But there's that high school kid,
I know.
walking through the school
Yep.
cafeteria, right?
Yep.
We all have that inside of us, right? Like, ooh, everybody knows each other, right? And,
Yeah.
and how am I going to break that
Yeah.
down, right? So how do you tell your team to, don't let people sit on the sidelines, right? I
right.
think that's as important as anything, right?
Yeah.
And, as we mentioned before, the leadership from
Yeah.
Wintrust, right? And so, if they're showing that,
Yeah.
right, and pulling people from the sidelines to be in the game,
Yeah.
that's huge.
Yeah. So what we do, of course, I have been in this line of work for a long, long time. So I have to remember that I am way, I have more confidence.
And you know
from
most
being
people in the room also.
Well, what's funny? I mean, I still meet a new person almost every day. I swear to God.
It's great.
And, but, we actually really try to encourage all of our veteran bankers to
Right.
bring a younger person with them as
So
many
good.
times as
That's so
possible.
good.
Just
Right.
showing the way
Right.
and just getting people out of the desk. I mean, the fun
Right.
part of the job is meeting the people.
Absolutely.
So,
Absolutely.
yeah.
And I love that, that you encourage and that others
Yeah.
encourage, get out and
Yeah.
do that, right?
Right.
Don't be complacent and just sit
Yeah.
at your desk, right? And we also kind of, it's the homebody in all of
Yeah.
us. I'm okay just hanging out and watching,
Yeah.
whatever comes on the scroll,
Yeah.
whatever game's on, right? I'll
Right,
just
right,
watch
right,
that
right.
and not,
Yeah.
but no, we should be out and about.
I love hearing stories where people, like a golf outing.
Yes.
You golf
Yep.
and then do you stay for the after event?
Right.
And one of the guys on our team told a great story because he's like, I had been out the night before and I stayed and then he ended up
Right.
he met someone awesome. So, you just try to tell
You
those
don't
stories
know.
too.
Right.
And yeah.
Absolutely. Right. And I think that's the good reminder,
Yeah.
right? And because not every crowd is going to be our crowd,
Yeah.
right? But it's still a crowd
Yeah.
of good people, right?
The other thing, it's not even always about the person that you connect with, which
No.
obviously that's great, but
Right.
you might have learned something that just kind of can be applied to the next conversation a
Right.
week later,
Right.
just a nugget of
And-
something.
Right. And don't we all want to have that takeaway,
Yeah.
right? I mean,
Yeah.
that's where and I know you, right? So that's where you get your juice, right?
Yes.
Is that little nugget that I'm going to hang on to. It may not resurface
Yeah.
for a month or
Right.
2 months, but you'll
Yeah.
have a way of weaving that back into a conversation and build that connection, right?
Yeah, no, I think that's the privilege of our job.
Absolutely.
All this stuff that we learn, which may not have anything to do with business or
Right,
banking or
right,
anything like
right,
that. But
exactly.
yeah, it's just a luxury
Isn't that great?
in my mind.
Right. Yeah.
So.
No, that's great. And again, I'm grateful for, our old relationship that started when you were at JP Morgan,
Yep.
right?
Yep.
And then fortunate that we can bring our organizations back together,
Yeah.
right? And we're just grateful for the partnership
Yeah.
that Wintrust is, right? And to your point earlier about, who would start a nonprofit business, right? No one
Yeah.
would within a bank, right? And so you've just grown something that is pretty darn impressive. So do you ever sit back and just think, you know what, this is pretty good?
Well, I'm very proud of Wintrust.
Right,
Number
right.
one. Just like that's the number one thing that
I
like
kind of
it's-
got that sense.
Yeah, no, I drink the Kool-Aid. And I do feel grateful that these, like these are my people in a
Right,
way.
right.
And
Totally.
I was able to find like an area that like wasn't really overdone at Wintrust,
Right,
if you
right.
want to say it that way. It was
Totally,
kind
yeah.
of like off to the side. And I really do try to do a phenomenal job in a sense of like high quality experience. We've been able to attract great people to the team because it does
Absolutely.
take a village
Absolutely.
to do this by
Right,
far.
right.
And no, I'm just proud of like Wintrust brand right
Right,
now
right.
and the work that we've been able to do.
That's
and again,
great.
there's a whole slew of people like working hard on
Oh,
behalf of
yeah.
our clients at the bank.
Right.
And so it's
But
it's
it's
a
great.
full village that's been part of the success.
Well, it is, and what I've been impressed by at any point in time, and certainly you have this gift, and I think a lot of members of your team do. It's not just about you or one individual, right? There is an acknowledgement that it's a team, right?
Yeah.
And so you've got folks that are really good at quants. You've got folks that are really
Yeah.
good at so many pieces
Yeah.
of the puzzle
Right.
that it's really great when it all comes together, and
Yeah.
it feels like it comes together a lot for you guys.
Yeah, no,
right?
I mean, I do feel like we're focused on service, relationship, engagement, those things. And those are
pretty
good pillars
things.
to stand
Exactly.
on.
Absolutely.
I guess that's what I
Yeah,
would say.
yeah. That's so great.
Yeah.
Well done.
Yeah.
Well done.
No, thank you.
Very fun. So very excited to spend the time with my friend and partner in all of this, Kandace Lenti from Wintrust. Kandace, any final parts to share with our audience?
No, thank you. It's been like okay, like I said, like one of the things that's such a nice thing for my job is I've made friends.
This is good,
And
right?
this is my job.
Exactly.
So
right.
it's a good
How
thing,
fortunate are
right?
we? Right? Exactly. That this
So,
is part of our job.
yeah, thank
right?
you for inviting me, and
Absolutely.
this was fun.
Thanks for saying yes, and,
yeah.
and really excited to share the Wintrust story, and just grateful to really count you in our corner. So thank you,
Awesome.
and we'll keep doing good work.
Good.
How about that? And,
Thank you.
And I love the intersection that you have created, and that I think Oak Leyden, we're the beneficiaries of, and so many others. So so
Awesome.
thank you. I hope you enjoyed our episode number 3 on the intersection by Oak Leyden, and have a great day.
Great work.